The Dodgers can still go 162-0. We got to see Roki Sasaki. It was a little bit uneven performance, but it's all right. We'll talk about it. Let's get locked on Dodgers.
You are Locked On Dodgers, your daily Los Angeles Dodgers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yo, Dodger fans. Welcome to Locked On Dodgers. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 local sports daily podcast network. Locked On, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. This is a daily podcast covering the World Series champion Los Angeles Dodgers, bringing you the smart fans' perspective on our boys in blue. You can find us wherever you find podcasts and on YouTube. All you got to do is search for Locked On Dodgers. You can become an everydayer by listening and watching every day. You can make that easier on yourself by subscribing and get notified when our episodes are ready or when we're going live on YouTube, like we are here on early Wednesday morning. If this is your first time listening, watching, welcome. I'm Vincent Perio. That's Jeff Snyder. And we have been doing Locked On Dodgers for 6 years now, going into year 7. We've been covering the Dodgers for over a decade in our own ways. And we're here to talk Dodgers once again because Dodgers, Jeff, are 2-0. They're on pace to win 162 games. And Shohei Ohtani is on pace to hit 81 home runs. So not bad.
Yeah, and bat 375 with a 1375 OPS. All those on pace things seem likely to happen. So let's wrap it up here. 162-0, and let's just count the 11 postseason wins too, and officially name the Dodgers 2025 World Series champions.
Yeah, that all sounds great to me. But we're going to lead off today's show with Roki Sasaki because Roki Sasaki made his MLB debut. And while it wasn't as great as it could have been, it also wasn't as bad as it could have been, considering that we saw what happened with Yamamoto last year in Korea. We'll start off with the positives, Jeff. The positives are the velocity was there in that first inning, for sure. Tailed off a little bit in those next couple innings, but not by much. And he got out of a jam when he needed to and ended up only allowing the one run, which they wouldn't have got if they didn't have to swing the bat. Like that's the only reason the Cubs even got on the board. But ultimately what we saw in terms of the positive was pretty good.
Yeah, the stuff is amazing. Really, this is about surviving this game because when you think about it, like major league debut, there's going to be those nerves. You're going to be amped up. Pitching in the Tokyo Dome as a Japanese pitcher for your major league debut, like Roki Sasaki will not face a game with this much adrenaline until October. And so kind of to get this out of the way and to survive it. And I wouldn't say he thrived, but he survived and the Dodgers won the game. And now I think the next couple games, I'm sure the first game at Dodger Stadium will have some of that, but I don't think it'll compare to what he felt this morning. And so
Ohtani said he had nerves yesterday, and Ohtani has been in the league for a while and just played in the World Series. So,
and is the most famous person in the world, yeah. So I honestly think that the fact that Roki was able to survive this, I think he can walk away knowing, okay, people aren't going to hit my stuff hard. He didn't get hit hard at all. And basically when I throw strikes, I get outs. And I think that's a good lesson for him to learn. And the fact that the Dodgers were still able to win this game, even with him struggling to throw strikes, I think all in all, it's a win. And while it would have been fun to see him come out and just throw 6 perfect innings in his debut, this was more realistic. And I think probably better for his long-term development.
Yeah, for Roki, I mean, like I said, we saw the velocity. He doesn't need to sit 100, and someone here in the comments mentioned kind of the velocity dropping as the innings went on. Yeah, he was riled up that first inning. He was ready to go. He's not going to sit 100. Realistically, if he sits, 96 plus, that's probably where the Dodgers want him, is considering what he's done in the past and considering that he wanted to get that velocity back up. And what we saw was 3 innings, 1 run. Obviously, the 5 walks isn't ideal, but he had not as much control of the fastball and almost no command of his splitter, and he was still able to do this. Like you said, he didn't get hit hard. The only reason the Cubs scored was because Roki was walking guys. So, yeah, positive for sure. yeah, definitely we'll still have some of those nerves in the future, especially, Dodger Stadium and everything else. But from all we know and from what we know about, like I said, what Ohtani said and everything else, and you could see like Roki was sweating bullets out there. Even though it's in a dome, it was snowing outside or cold outside, but in the dome a little bit differently. It's just one of those things where, hey, he gave us 3 innings. We got to see what the peak looked like. We got to see him get out of a jam, like he had bases loaded, 1 out, and got back-to-back strikeouts. I think Michael Busch was maybe looking for that walk to get that other run in, but he threw a nice slider to get the final out of that inning. And yeah, ultimately, this is probably how it's going to be for Roki this year. It's going to be some uneven performances, some really great performances, and maybe a couple clunkers.
Yeah, and when the like you mentioned the velocity drop that was mentioned in the chat, I think of it more as a velocity bump in the first inning. Like you could see he was visibly amped up, like huffing and puffing, and like you could tell that he was fired up that first inning. And I think that's why he was throwing 100, 101. I think the 97-ish is about what we can probably expect from him right now. And he only threw 2 pitches, 2 fastballs below 96, and both of those round up to 96, 95.6, 95.7. Everything else was mostly in the 97, 98 range, which is, I think, just fine there. It really was about command here. And you mentioned the slider that he got out of that inning with. He actually threw 2 sliders in that last at bat to Matt Shaw. That on the broadcast, like the movement and everything, you can't really tell the difference a lot of times between the slider and the splitter.
It looked like a slow splitter.
Yeah, but even that, I mean, the velocity was almost exactly the same as a splitter. These sliders were 85.5 miles an hour, and the splitter, like he threw 185.1. Like it was very close, but you look at the spin rate, that's where that comes in, and you could definitely tell, it was definitely a different pitch. He only threw it 4 times, but even that, I think the fact that he was able to get out of that jam with 2 sliders to Shaw to end that inning, I think that's probably going to be a positive thing for his development too, because, we've talked before, a lot of people have talked about how the main thing he needs to do is develop that third pitch, because then you do have something to play off of, and you have a second option on a day when you can't command one of your other pitches. A lot of reasons that slider is going to be an important pitch for him. And so the fact that he was able to come to it when he really needed it and get out of that inning, 3 of the 4 sliders came in that last inning when he was struggling. And he got strikes on 3 of the 4 sliders that he threw too. All in all, I think there were a lot of positive developments here, even if it wasn't quite as fun as it could have been.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about the offense, which helped him out. Got him an early lead. We're going to talk about the bullpen, which gave Dave Roberts. I think him coming out on that positive note of, okay, I just walked the bases loaded, but I was able to get 2 strikeouts and end it. Yeah, pitch wise, could he have gone out another inning? Yeah, but realistically, wasn't going to be maybe the smartest thing for the Dodgers to kind of do right now. And like I said, with the bullpen behind it, knowing that our bullpen will be just fine, they were able to get him out there on the positive. And I think that's another thing that'll move forward. He'll be like, okay, like just throw, like we talk about this a lot in pitching, like us over the years of sometimes you can just throw stuff down the middle and you're probably going to get away with it a lot of the times. And if you're throwing, 97 plus, that helps out a little bit more. Like even the splitter and everything. Like if he starts the splitter down the middle, he's going to get a lot of swing and miss regardless. So I think he just needs to, trust that, drop the nerves. He'll be fine.
Yeah. And that really, it's an adjustment. Like those splitters, they were all missing in the same spot. Like, it's an adjustment thing, and that will get better as time goes by. And obviously, I'm sure the nerves and the jitters and everything, adrenaline, all that had a lot to do with it. And so it will be fun to watch him progress over as the season goes on. And all in all, 1 run, 1 hit, we'll pretend the 5 walks didn't happen, and, look forward to his next start.
Yeah, what definitely helped them was the offense getting on the board early, putting up 3 runs in his 3 innings pitch. We'll talk about the offense as a whole because a little bit different than the game before in terms of how the Dodgers scored runs. So we'll get into it. So make sure to keep it locked on Dodgers. Today's episode is brought to you by Supply House. Get the supplies you need from the site made for the skilled trades, Supply House. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. With their easy-to-use website, it's packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with the complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400 plus top brands, you'll find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you always talk to a real person, which is big. And for trade pros looking for that extra edge, their free Trade Master program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage, and now it's your turn. Join the Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use the promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Today's episode is also brought to you by Game Time. There's nothing better than catching an MLB game live. The crack of the bat, the roar of the crowd, and the smell of the ballpark food. And if you're looking to go last minute, Game Time makes getting tickets easier than ever because they have last minute deals, all-in pricing, and a low price guarantee. Game Time takes all the stress out of buying MLB tickets. Plus, ticket prices drop as Game Time gets closer, meaning you can score an incredible deal. And Game Time is the official ticketing partner of Locked On. And as the Dodgers home opener and ring ceremony and Hershiser jersey and Dodger sweatshirt and Shohei Ohtani bobblehead and Freddie Freeman bobblehead, there's a lot coming up, and you can count on Game Time to help you grab tickets that meet your needs. I've used Game Time a few times in the past when I do get to go as a fan, and it's definitely the easiest and best way to check out wherever you're going to get tickets at. You can see the view from your seat. You can not have to worry about finding a ticket cheaper because if you have the Game Time guarantee. So all that stuff is right there for you. Take the guesswork out of buying game tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. I want to thank you for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen of the day. Make sure to find us wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube. We actually might be your first listen of the day today for reals because it's 6:27 a.m. right now as we're doing this live on YouTube. And I'm sure a lot of us are missing our sleep, and we'll be able to get back to regular sleep schedules now. And if you're on YouTube, you can check out Locked On Sports Today and Locked On Sports Los Angeles, 224/7 streaming channels from the Locked On Podcast Network. All right, Jeff, yesterday we talked about the Dodgers, the thing which you said was a ho-hum win, 4-1, no home runs, got the job done. Today they did it a little bit differently. They brought the boomsticks, or however you want to say it, with 3 homers, Tommy Edman, Kiké Hernandez, Shohei Ohtani. Obviously, Ohtani is the story there, and, Cubs fans may disagree with if that was actually a home run or if the MLBs conspired against the Cubs or for Ohtani. But whatever the case is, it was nice to see Ohtani have a strong start to the season.
Yeah, I guess you could try to make it a conspiracy theory that it should have only been a double, and maybe the Dodgers only should have won 5-3 instead of 6-3. I'm sure MLB is very heavily invested in that extra run margin of victory for the Dodgers, or maybe it was just, replays I saw, I think it would have stood. The call on the field would have stood no matter what happened. It was the least impressive of the 3 homers, even though off the bat, the sound, the appearance, obviously Joe Davis's call.
Joe, I'm obviously watching Ohtani at bat, but you're still maybe in a little bit of slumber. And I thought he hit it like through the roof.
Yeah. Everything made it seem like it was going to be long gone, and then it barely got out, if it got out at all. Kiké's was probably the most impressive. That was just a blast. Edman's was fun to watch. And, my thought, I guess it was before Ohtani's homer, but after Edman and Kiké both homered, how important guys like that are. I know Edman was batting second in these games, but Edman most of the time is going to be batting somewhere between 6th and 9th in the lineup. He's not going to be the 2-hole hitter. That's because Mookie and Freddie are out. Kiké, when he's in the lineup, he's going to be down lower in the lineup, and like he was in this game. And, most major league lineups, not that there's any easy outs. Now that the universal DH is here, there are no easy outs in any major league lineup. but most lineups, there are parts where a pitcher can come up for air a little bit. You can kind of catch it. Oh, good. I have Austin Barnes coming up. Oh, whoever it is, I shouldn't have named any names if I was only going to name one name. But there are some hitters who aren't as good as others, and guys like Edman and Kiké and Conforto, these guys who are going to be batting closer to Andy Pajes, guys who are going to be batting closer to the bottom of the lineup are going to be really important to keep their foot on the gas so that when the lineup does roll back around to Ohtani and Betts and Freeman, the pitcher hasn't had a chance to relax. And so not only are you getting the runs from a Kiké Hernandez home run, a Tommy Edman home run, you also have a pitcher who feels like all this is going on and now I have to face Shohei Ohtani rather than, okay, I caught my breath. Now I'm ready to face Shohei Ohtani. And so I think it's going to help, obviously, the team. You get runs for home runs. I think it's just going to help everybody in the lineup, this depth that these guys can bring to this lineup.
Yeah, we talked about it yesterday in the sense of the Dodgers being able to break down starters a lot of the time with good at-bats. And, that comes from a lot of different people, mostly top of the lineup, but bottom of the lineup can do the same. Bottom of the lineup can do a little bit different as well. Like we saw Andy Pajes doubled at one point with 2 outs late in the game to get Ohtani in at bat. They ended up walking Ohtani. And, it was Tommy Edman, who is great, but that could have been Mookie Betts once everyone's healthy. So it could have been 2 outs and you would have had first and second for Mookie Betts potentially. Even at the end of the game, they got Ohtani another at bat by, being patient. Andy Pajes not hitting into a double play, things like that. And Ohtani, it didn't end up becoming anything, but it could have. And, the more Ohtani at bats, the better. So, yeah, I think last year when the year started, the bottom of that order was just very, very rough. Basically, kind of 7 through 9 became that breathing time for pitchers. And, while that still can happen game to game, overall, right now, the way the lineup is, it's not going to be that way unless there is some crazy slumps to start the season. So, yeah, it's exciting in that realm. Exciting that the Dodgers were able to go 2-0 without Freddie Freeman and Mookie Betts. Kiké is going to obviously have games like this or have at-bats like that. Tommy Edman, while overall, he might have around league average numbers in terms of offense, he's going to have games where he impacts the game, where he's going to have stretches where he impacts a whole week like he did last year, or in the postseason where he impacted a whole series. So, yeah, the Dodgers, the depth is where everyone talks about, and it goes beyond just the pitching side. It also lends itself to the lineup. We haven't seen Chris Taylor, and we haven't seen Austin Barnes yet, and those might be the 2 guys, but realistically, they're not going to be playing that often.
Yeah, because, right now we've got this series with no Mookie and no Freddie. There's already 2 guys playing who will be the first 2 options off the bench. And so if you got through 2 games where you don't have Mookie and Freddie without having to use Taylor or Barnes, obviously Barnes is going to have to play sometimes. Will Smith's not going to catch every game. But you know what? With the days off earlier in the season, hopefully not too often. And, Smith's looking good. Yeah, all in all.
Yeah, Will Smith probably deserves a little bit more talk. I mean, he's the guy that we knew the injury, everything else, and he's been an on-base machine. I saw the stat yesterday, which I didn't see till after we recorded. I think he's reached base 4 times in a game in 4 different countries, something like that. He's been a guy that has been able to show out, and if he can bring that from his spot in the lineup, that'll just be obviously beneficial. Once he got a hit, everything was kind of working.
Yeah, and even Andy Pajes, who, there's question marks about him. He only has the 1 hit, but he's also turned over the lineup several times with walks to get to Ohtani. All in all, it's been really good. Really quick, I want to shout out Oliver watching live with us with his dad before going to school, I assume. Don't make the kid go to school. What kind of dad are you? Let him stay home. Anyway, thanks for watching, Oliver.
Yeah, and now we're going to talk about the bullpen once again because Roki did go 3 innings. The Dodgers had to cover the rest of that. Almost every pitcher on the active roster got to pitch the last 2 games. We'll talk a little bit about that, so make sure to keep it locked on Dodgers. Today's episode is brought to you by Just Ingredients. When it comes to fueling your body, quality matters, and that's why Just Ingredients is changing the game with clean, high-quality products designed to support better health and peak performance. Better health, definitely something I could use for sure, and Just Ingredients is here to help out with NSF certified line of protein powder, electrolytes, pre-workout, and creatine, all rigorously tested to ensure they're free from substances banned by major athletic organizations. Just Ingredients has also partnered with Bryce Harper, who trusts their NSF certified sports line to fuel his training and recovery. We got some Just Ingredients. I got my pre-workout here. I've never taken pre-workout before, so I'm looking forward to Just Ingredients getting me ready and getting me amped up. I used to live on just natural energy, but I'm a little bit older now, so I can't do it that way all the time. And I love that Just Ingredients prioritizes wholesome, nourishing ingredients without all the artificial stuff. I don't need, all the things I can't pronounce. I just need what I need, and Just Ingredients is here to bring that. So I'll keep you updated on this pre-workout and see how it does. See if it keeps me awake and getting going for a workout. So go to justingredients.us and use code LOCKEDONMLB for 20% off right now. And for more wellness tips, follow just.ingredients on Instagram.
The NCAA tournament is here, and so is the Bracket Breakdown.
Locked On Podcast Network and Amazon Fire TV channels are teaming up to deliver NCAA tournament coverage like never before. Watch studio shows featuring former players and Locked On's local experts as they guide you through every upset, buzzer beater, and bracket matchup.
Stream it all for free on Amazon Fire TV channel. Search Bracket Breakdown to see it all for free.
It's your team every day.
I want to thank you for being an everydayer. If you are one, everydayer is just someone that listens or watches every day. We appreciate you, those everydayers that are here in the chat right now. We appreciate those of you that are listening at any point of your day on Wednesday. And we appreciate those of you that are going to become everydayers because the season has started. Yes, the Dodgers are going to go back home. Yes, they're going to have 3 exhibition games with the Angels, but the season is underway. The Dodgers are 2-0, and we're looking forward to having you guys join us every single weekday covering these Dodgers that are going to be pretty good this year, Jeff. I can say that with confidence. And
hot take from Vince.
Yeah. If you want to go beyond the podcast, you can become a Locked On Dodgers Insider by going to join subtext.com/LockedOnDodgers and get an exclusive link to our Discord server where there was a handful of us awake for these games, whether there was 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 6 a.m. The chat was popping. I'm sure it'll get going as the season continues on. So, let's talk about the bullpen. Let's talk about the pitching. Roki Sasaki went for 3 innings. The Dodgers had to cover the rest, and they were able to do so with a bunch of guys getting 1 inning at a time and Landon Knack getting the win and going 2 innings. Luis Garcia, Jack Dreyer, Landon Knack, Kirby Yates, Alex Vesia. Luis Garcia did give up a run and a couple hits. He's probably a guy that we won't have to talk about as much anymore. I would imagine once they get back and add these starters to the active roster, he'll be no longer on the active roster. But everyone else looked pretty solid, and it's another day. They used no pitchers from the day before and still got 6 innings of almost shutout work.
Yeah, it wasn't as good a bullpen performance. There were only 1-2-3 innings for the Dodgers in this game. That was the first inning by Roki Sasaki, and then the 7th inning, which was the second inning that Landon Knack pitched. That was the only 2 times that they went 1-2-3. But ultimately, they got the job done. They allowed in total 3 runs in 9 innings. The bullpen allowed 2 runs in 6 innings. Both of those are really good numbers that will get this Dodgers team victories most of the time. And like you said, Luis Garcia was the first guy out of the bullpen, who is not a guy who we expect to be a big contributor to this bullpen this year. Maybe a guy the Dodgers end up needing, depending on how health goes and everything. But this is a deep bullpen, and he is somewhere below the depth line probably when we get to the regular season. We get to when they don't have 8 relievers or 10 relievers on the roster anymore. They're probably not going to have Luis Garcia on the roster. And it was fun to see Jack Dreyer make his major league debut. His stuff looked really good. He ran into a little bit of a hiccup, gave up a couple of hits and a run. Landon Knack looked good. I think he's a big question mark for a lot of fans and don't really know what his role is going to be this year. If he might be a major league reliever, if he will be a minor league starter waiting for an opportunity to come pitch in the big leagues. Not really sure. Kirby Yates. Were you nervous about Kirby Yates at all based on his spring performance?
A little bit, just because we're not privy to what these guys, if they're working on anything all the time. With Yamamoto, he kind of said after every start that he was doing things a little bit differently. With Kirby Yates, I don't think we ever heard that. So you might, especially considering like he had a couple of those bad years not that long ago, and sometimes magic runs out.
Yeah, it's I'm kind of in the same boat. I wasn't too nervous, but it was nice to see him come out there and look really good. And then Alex Vesia got the first 2 outs pretty quickly. Kind of what you were talking about how sometimes pitchers just throw it down the middle and good things happen. He struck out, who was it, Ian Happ on a 94-mile-an-hour fastball right down the middle that, with Vesia's right on his fastball, that's what he does. He doesn't throw extremely hard, but he gets good results. And then, made people a little bit nervous, did allow the tying run to get to the plate because he couldn't come close to the strike zone against Justin Turner. But all in all, you got to get a little bit of the Alex Vesia experience. Maybe that was just for you, Vince, just to make sure you were awake because he knows how you love the Alex Vesia experience.
He wanted to make sure that we were paying attention, and he was amped up. I mean, we've talked a little bit about IVB recently, and Jack Dreyer, had the numbers, I think, in the 20-21 range. Alex Vesia averaged 20.6 IVB on his fastballs last year. He was at 23 for a lot of his fastballs. So he was amped up. He couldn't find the strike zone after he got those first couple outs. Joe Davis and Karras were kind of making fun of him after he got the second strikeout of, him treating it like Game 7 of the World Series. But that's just how he is. And, sometimes, a lot of the times it works out in his favor. Sometimes maybe you get a little bit too amped up. But ultimately, he got the job done. And maybe he just likes pitching with runners on base. I don't know.
I suspect Alex Vesia treats, making a bowl of cereal in the morning like the 7th game of the World Series. I think that's just his personality. Landon Knack's IVB was pretty high today, too. I was noticing, up in the 20s, 19 to 22. They were the IVB team today, which you can tell because the velocities of all three of those guys, Knack, Dreyer, and Vesia, it's just ho-hum 93, 94 miles an hour, and yet they're getting swing and miss. They're getting outs and getting the job done because of that IVB, which is it's a complicated thing, but I'll give the 10-second explanation in case anybody's sitting here wondering what the heck is IVB. It's induced vertical break, which is a fancy way of saying how much does the ball drop compared to what gravity by itself would do? So basically, if you have a higher spin rate on your fastball, it can appear to rise. No fastball actually rises because physics don't work that way. But you can throw a fastball that drops less than the human eye expects it to. And hitters, it's all an instinct thing. They're not doing these calculations, but their instincts are, okay, I've seen this pitch before. I know where to swing my bat, where this pitch is going to be. If you have a better IVB, the ball ends up not where the batter's finely trained eye expects it to be, and they end up swinging under the fastball.
Yeah, and it works out in the way, like the human eye, I think that's what they said, like the human eye is not fast enough you're basically swinging where you think the ball is going to be when you're, especially from 60 feet, 6 inches with the ball coming that fast. So that's kind of how it helps out in that way. If you're swinging where you think the ball is going to be, the ball's not there because it doesn't drop as much as you thought, then that's where IVB kind of works out. So the Dodgers seemingly have been, I don't think one of the only teams, but they're in on that, and we see a lot of guys with it, especially the guys that don't have the velocity but are still able to get those outs. And like you said, those three guys that you mentioned are some of those guys. So I don't know. Was there anything else from these two games?
One thing, our buddy Joe Holt, Locked On Dodgers insider Joe Holt in the chat, said he'd rather see Justin Robleski than Luis Garcia. That's something we didn't mention, that before this game they did make a roster move. They optioned Robleski and added Matt Sauer to the 40-man roster and the active roster. Put Clayton Kershaw on the 60-day IL as the paperwork move to make room on the 40-man roster. And I thought that was kind of interesting that Robleski and Sauer both didn't pitch in either of these games. I suspect, based on how they were used in the exhibition games, that this was the plan all along, that, hey, we're not going to use either of you in either of these games, and we're going to put each of you on the roster for one of the games. You get a little bit more money. You get to, say you were in the big leagues, you were a big leaguer in Tokyo, all those things. That's kind of the only thing that I can figure, that this was just kind of the plan to not use either of them.
Yeah, if you figured they both pitched not that long ago, like Robleski's a guy that I don't know has ever pitched. He's been a starter most of the time, so he maybe never hasn't been like that. But if they had got to extra innings or something like that, that's probably what those guys were there for. More so, Sauer in today's game, Robleski, they had a lot of arms they could have used yesterday. So.
Yeah. It's I'm interested to see what they do. We now have a week until the domestic opening day. The roster will be, it was kind of interesting that they had to have Mookie on this roster, even though he wasn't even in the country, because if you put him on the IL, then he's not eligible to come off in time for domestic opening day. So he had to be on the roster. So this roster will change. Obviously, it's going to have to change because they do have to add their other three starting pitchers, Dustin May, Tyler Glasnow, and Blake Snell, to the roster.
Hey, you said it right.
I've been practicing. Snell. I say it in the mirror every morning. They have to add those three guys. They'll drop some relievers. So there will definitely be changes to the roster on both sides. They had 14 position players here. And so, whether it's probably James Outman at this point, who starts in the minors, but we'll see what happens there. And we'll have plenty of time to talk about that, because now that the Tokyo series is over, now we have to go back to pretending baseball doesn't matter again for a few games. I think it's just the Freeway Series, right? They're not going back to Arizona. They're just going back to LA. So it'll just be
Sunday, Monday, Tuesday.
Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, then a day off on Wednesday, and then opening day on Thursday. So they do get a couple days off. I assume they're basically heading to the airport here shortly and going to fly home now and then let their bodies adjust for a couple days and then play the Angels in some games that don't matter, and then try to hit Tarek Skubal next Thursday. I'll be there. Will you be there, Vince?
Yeah, that's the plan. I'll plan on be there. So
that's good. I'm excited. I just found out the other day that I'm going to be there. So
there you go.
I like being there for opening day.
Yeah. One last note on Freddie Freeman. After we got done recording yesterday, he was talking to reporters, or we got more info from it. Basically, kind of what we thought it might be. He said, he felt it when he was taking batting practice. He could have played if he needed to. They told him the 75% thing. We talked about that, but kind of what we thought, that there's some scar tissue built up in the ribs there from the recovery that he had after injuring last year. He said he ramped up his swing, like he was swinging a lot more the last couple of days. It probably just pulled that scar tissue out a little bit, and his body will readjust and he should be fine. I would hope so.
Yeah, and we can, if we want to look for a bright side, it was scar tissue breaking up last year for Max Muncy that caused his miraculous recovery, and so this may loosen Freddie up a little bit. Painful in the moment, but hopefully, if it was just scar tissue, everything will be just fine, and he can kind of put that injury behind him. That's my hope.
Yeah. All right, that's going to do it for today's episode. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for being here on Wednesday morning. We appreciate you. You can find us where we get podcasting on YouTube. You can come in every day or by listening, watching every day. You can make that easier by subscribing and get notified when our episodes are ready or when we're going live. You can go beyond the podcast, come Locked On Dodgers Insider by going to joinsubtext.com/LockedOnDodgers. You can get text directly from us, keeping you up to date. And you can also get a link to our exclusive Discord server to talk with other Dodger fans. You can check out Locked On Sports Today and Locked On Sports Los Angeles, 2 24/7 streaming channels from the Locked On Podcast Network, bringing the biggest news and stories from the sports world and the LA sports world. You can go and find us on social media, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Locked On Dodgers. Jeff's on Twitter at Dog. I'm at Vincent91. You can DM us any questions or comments. You can also send those via email, lockedondodgers@gmail.com, or via voicemail text at 323-863-5625. We're here every weekday morning, and we hope you'll be here with us. When you get in your car, or if you're at home, text my device, play podcast, Locked On Dodgers. And remember, you don't have to agree. You just have to listen. Have a good one.
We'll talk to you next time.